course, we've had a little bit of a setback when it comes to mining companies, even as the Supreme Court ruled that states can tax mineral rights and mineral-bearing land retrospectively. And of course, Megha is here with us, and she tracks this very widely. Megha, we're looking at declines, but to a certain extent, we've also seen a recovery from day's lows. How are you reading into the latest development with respect to the Supreme Court here?
So earlier, back in July, the Supreme Court had, overturned a very old case from 1989, which stated, which basically allowed states to have additional taxes on mineral mining operations. Now, the main question was whether this would be applied retrospectively or prospectively, and that the Supreme Court's latest decision is on retrospective application, means that this will be applied for past periods as well, and that's why you can see the metals stocks reacting negatively. Now, the tax on mineral wealth will be applied, and our companies are liable to pay them to the states at the decided rates that the states then come out with. They are liable to pay taxes for the periods between 2005 to 2024. So that is a very long period that we have to, we are looking at. The states will be able to collect this tax over a period of 12 years on staggered payment basis. So the companies do get some cushioning, but paying taxes for such a long period since 2005 is a big negative. When you look at the impact on the public side of the undertakings, the solicitors, while they were arguing whether it could be retrospective or prospective application, they said that the impact could be anywhere between 70,000 to 80,000 crores. However, it's key to note that this includes interest and penalties, and the latest ruling does say that no interest and penalties will be applied, but still the impact is nonetheless. It's negative for stocks like Coal India, Hindustan Zinc, NMDC, Hindustan Copper, MOIL, NALCO, NMDC Steel and SAIL, and as you can see, most of these counters are in the red.
If I can actually just do a follow-up question here, Megha. You mentioned that the payments could be over a span of 12 years, and it's going to be staggered. But a lot of these companies, from what my understanding is they're free cash flow positive.
Yes.
So it really wouldn't be too much of a challenge for a lot of these companies to go ahead and should there be demand from these states, right?
Yes, but it also depends on how the tax is, implied. Now, for example, Jharkhand has already passed a bill, which is said 100 rupees for iron ore and coal, and it's on volume basis.
Right.
So now it all depends on how much the companies produced all these years. So it depends on how, obviously, it's with respect to the company how they choose to go by and go about it. But yes, many of these companies are cash flow positive. They've also reduced significant, in terms of debt. They have been raising capital, which was first allocated for debt. But if the company does choose to do so, they could help these with payments, because royalties is not something that companies have not been paying.
Right.
They have with respect to the leasing agreements, but these taxes are additional.
Right.
So it depends on how this.
Absolutely.
But it's also the private players, Agam, that do get benefited. Could be upwards of 1 lakh crores is what lawyers were saying.
Right.
And we already had Tata Steel that came out with a contingent liability of 17,347 crore rupees. So that means that the company has set this money aside already and will continue to do so.
Right.
When you look at it's negative for counters like Vedanta, Hindalco Industries, which you have seen Hindalco has recovered from today's lows. We have JSW Steel, Tata Steel, and cement firms. And lastly, when we talk about who benefits, it is the state-rich, mineral-rich states will benefit the most. Top beneficiaries include Odisha, Jharkhand, Rajasthan, even other states like Chhattisgarh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Goa, West Bengal. All of these companies have this. And I think it's also key to point out and mark cement stocks, because many of the cement companies actually have limestone mining operations. And limestone is, at the end of the day, a mineral. So that's why maybe you see weakness in Ultratech Cement right now. It's one of the top losers. And a host of other cement stocks that are also in the red.
Right, absolutely. Well, Megha, thank you so much for elucidating the current ongoing issues and the potential challenge that the latest from the Supreme Court can pose towards the mining industry.